We know from the show that if Arnold ever tries to be charming with Helga, like wink at her or hug her or anything like that, she immediately tries to snap herself out of it and pushes him away and insults him. And in this comic, she does not do that. She doesn't want to be mean to him. She is really maturing. And she's probably realizing that the first steps to her and Arnold being in any type of relationship is for her to chill out and to stop being so mean to him for no reason.
Welcome, I'm ChoReally, and this is a breakdown of the brand new Arnold 8th grade comic. We're breaking down chapters 2 and 3. Spoilers ahead.
Created by the talented artist Eden Fries. All credit goes to her. And of course, credit goes to Craig Bartlett, the original creator of the IP. By the way, Craig Bartlett has loved and reposted many of Eden Fry's work, and I would love to know if he approves of this comic. In chapter, we pick up where Helga is behind the school, telling herself to calm down and for her heart to be still. She's waiting back here by herself until Arnold jump scares her, and after she's startled, she gets really annoyed by it because she doesn't want to be snuck up on by Arnold, but he said he couldn't resist. They have this funny little back and forth where she says, "You really pissed me off," and then he says, "Oh, do I?" And then she says, "Yeah, you do." Arnold starts to kid around and acting like he's going to leave, and Helga pulls him back, telling him to get over here and pulling him by his shirt. He jumps the fence and asks why they're out here, and Helga goes into her bag and pulls out something that looks like a soda can. She then pulls out this soda can that says WrestleMania, and it's a limited edition collector's item that she had been calling in for and trying to get her hands on, and then she passes one over to Arnold. Arnold looks really surprised and asks her, "Why are you sharing this with me?" Helga shrugs it off and says how else could she brag about it, and that good things should be enjoyed with company, and that he just so happened to be around, even though she's the one who invited him out there. Arnold starts to mention other people she could have given it to instead, like Phoebe, and she says Phoebe's not really into WrestleMania, and she doesn't really like soda. Then Arnold says, "Your dad?" And as we see, Helga's starting to sweat here, and she says, "Why would I waste something special on that buffoon?" Arnold then says, "Just admit that you want to spend time with me," which has her gagged. And she's like, "Just drink your soda," as he thinks it's so funny. Arnold then stumbles over his words trying to ask Helga something, saying, "Speaking of WrestleMania, do you maybe..." What I'm trying to say is, well, if you'd like. And Helga's impatience kicks in. She says, "Holy crap, spit it out already." And he pulls out 2 tickets for them to go to WrestleMania this Saturday. And the chapter ends with him inviting her to go with him. And that is how chapter 2 wraps up. In the beginning of chapter 3, it starts off with Helga being completely starstruck about the tickets to WrestleMania that Arnold got her. She's so happy about them. She's saying the seats are amazing, that the seats are so close they would get trash thrown at them. She says the tickets have been sold out for weeks.
Then Arnold asks again, "Will you go with me?"
And she, being so excited, says, "Of course I will. I'm so excited I could kiss." We all know what she was about to say, but Arnold looks confused. She bends over to collect herself. She reaches over to get her drink, and then she says, "You can't find anyone else to go with?" Questioning him in the same way that he questioned her about the drink. When he said, "You couldn't have found anyone else to share this with," she throws the question back at him, saying, "You couldn't find anyone else to go with." And then she says, "Admit you want to spend time with me." As smooth as that was, Arnold can keep it together and he wasn't gagged. So he says, "I want to spend time with you." He definitely wasn't afraid to admit that, but Helga was not ready to hear it. She whips over and looks at him, blushing and surprised, and is completely shook, wondering what has him so bold today, because she feels like her heart is going to beat out of her chest. We can see that Helga is really nervous around Arnold when he starts to put on the charm, even though she tries to act calm. She says ditto, and then Arnold says, "It's a date then." And Helga's very happy about this, thinking, a date. Then we get to see a personification of Helga's lovesick side for Arnold. Her lovesick version of herself is so excited about this. Saying, "A date. It's finally happening. Not just hanging out. Not going for a bite, but a legit date." Her lovesick side suggests that she should make a shrine when she gets home to celebrate the occasion. Grab him by his face, kiss him, shower him with love, ask him to marry us. This lovesick version of Helga definitely wants her to confess her love to Arnold. Then we get to see a character of Helga's logic personified and pushing the lovesick version of her telling away, her to shove off and to get real, telling her to forget about the obsession with Arnold and do not be quick to blab about her deep dark secrets. And for the last few years, with the help of logic, Helga has been practicing self-control and doesn't want to scare off Arnold, saying that this is war, telling Helga not to let her guard down and to rely on logic, and to not end up like lovesickness, obsessed with Arnold, building shrines of him, telling Helga to think and play it cool if she wants Arnold to still like her. After Helga thinks about her logic versus love, she decides to not go overboard and to play it cool. She decides to go back to being playful with Arnold, saying that he really turned on the charm. Kidding around with him, saying, "What's next? Are you gonna try and hold my hand?" And Arnold says, "All right." He's very relaxed with the thought of holding Helga's hand, but she is not relaxed back. She is currently processing what's going on, trying to come to grips with what just happened. The data could not be processed, and it looks like Helga is losing her fight against logic and starts to have thoughts of wanting to pet Arnold's hair. Arnold's still talking as if all of this is just chill to him. And if we can see what Arnold is talking about, he's talking about the flavor of the soda. And he says, "It kind of reminds me of the milkshake we shared last week." Which definitely implies that Arnold and Helga have been going out for and at least eating together. As Helga struggles to not pet Arnold and is essentially fighting her lovesick version of herself mentally, she thinks about if there's any rules that says she can't pet him because they have kissed before, they are holding hands, and how are those things more intimate than this? Helga's lovesick side and logic side both come to the conclusion that it makes perfect sense, but she doesn't want to let go of Arnold's hand. But in the other hand, she's holding her limited edition WrestleMania soda. We see that Helga's trying to determine what's more important to her, Arnold or her WrestleMania soda. And of course, Arnold wins every single time. She starts to chug the soda so that that hand can be free to pet Arnold's head so that she doesn't have to let go of his hand, but then Arnold says he hears someone coming. And this is the end of chapter 3. Now let's get into the chapter breakdown. Let's get into all the new things that we're seeing about this comic already. Clearly they're going to the same school because this looks like PS 118. It looks like the same red building next to the bridge from the original Hey Arnold. You can also see that Helga is very nervous about being with Arnold alone behind the school. She's telling her heart to be still, which is typically what you're doing when you're nervous or having anxiety. And as we can see, Arnold, of course, is not nervous at all about meeting Helga behind the school, or the way he just pops up on her. And their dynamic is very cute. Arnold really being his positive personality, with a splash of playfulness added to his character. And Helga being an impatient and easily irritated person. But instead of her just being mean to Arnold, we can see here that their dynamic is definitely different, because the old Helga would have definitely been irritated with Arnold and continued insulting him. Meanwhile, this Arnold is playfully saying he will leave Helga alone, and Helga is playfully pulling him back, saying, "Get over here before I actually get mad." This playful dynamic definitely sets up that they are in at least a friendship. There's nothing that jumps out about it as romantic, it just seems very friendly. Let's talk about Helga's character design for a minute, because I love her character design. We all know the classic two pigtailed Helga with the bow in her hair and the pink dress. But I love this alt version of Helga. Her character design definitely fits her personality a lot better, and definitely as a person that is becoming a teenager, I would expect her to not continue wearing that same pink dress. Since she is deemed a tomboy, she finally gets to express herself a lot more and lean into with the one pink bow in her ear. It really shows her individuality, and I like the fact that the bow is kept a part of her character, because Helga does like pink and she likes bows. And I do feel like she loves her bow even more, because in the original show, when they were toddlers, Arnold complimented her pink bow, and I definitely feel like she's loved her bow even more ever since. And so, just as a sidebar, the pink bow could be underneath this hat. In the spinoff, The Patakis, that was supposed to happen, made by Craig Bartlett, he mentioned that he was going to have Helga in a beanie,
black t-shirts and androgynous jeans with big cuffs, and chunky combat-esque boots. On her head, instead of a bow, is a grungy stocking cap. The famous pink bow is hidden underneath.
I do feel like Eden Fries took inspiration from Craig Bartlett's drawing of the Patakis, but put her own spin on it, and so she kept the beanie on Helga. Now, whether or not there's a bow underneath that beanie, we don't know. But we do know what we see, and she does have a bow in her ear, which is adorable. And she has a bow on her shirt, which has a skull on it, which is also pink, while she's wearing a gray jacket and a shirt tied around her waist. This is such a alt, very 2000s kid outfit, with the hot pink, the shirt with a skull, the hoodie with a shirt tied around the waist, a beanie. It definitely feels like that early 2000s Avril Lavigne era. And I love that their clothes and the style of this comic is set around that time. It is so beautiful and it feels nostalgic. Before we get past Helga's character design, I want to look at the shirt tied around her waist, because it looks oddly familiar to someone else's shirt in the same scene. I wonder where she got that shirt from. It definitely implies that they're more than just friends. It's not clear that they are a relationship, but at minimum a situationship. I like that this art style is definitely giving anime vibe. It still holds the same cartoony characters, but it gives them a little bit of that anime oomph to it. The way that they blush and act in their different facial expressions. Kind of like an anime stylistic choice added onto the original cartoony characters. Makes it feel very fresh. We can also see that Helga is trying to mature a lot with the way that she is mentally talking herself through all of her feelings instead of acting them out. These types of conversational internal battles is something that a lot of people have, myself included. I find myself actually talking to versions of myself in my own head before making decisions and doing things, and I really like the way that this is personified. It kind of also feels like a Lizzie McGuire-esque situation with a little cartoon character helping the main character get through things and to storytell. I have never seen this done in an animation before. I just love how Eden Fries is writing her version of preteen Helga. If I would have ever imagined any type of comic being made about Hey Arnold, then this personification of Helga's love for Arnold and her logic being other two characters in the comic, I never would have imagined that, but now I absolutely need it. We can also see that these two characters that are supposed to represent Helga's thoughts still maintain Helga's two original pigtails. Meanwhile, Helga's hair is in one. I really like the design of Helga's hair being down and looking different, showing that she's really growing up and trying to carry herself a little bit more cuter, showing that she really cares about her appearance, probably because her and Arnold are talking now. I love to see Helga fighting her deep feelings for Arnold and just trying to play it cool around him, even though we know that deep down she wants to smell his hair and build a shrine, pull out a locket with his face on it and act completely crazy. But she is able to keep it together, which hits so close to home when you have a crush on someone. Another Easter egg I noticed in the comic is WrestleMania. This was one of Helga's favorite things from the original show, going to watch wrestling matches. Even though she's supposed to be a little girl, she truly is a tomboy at heart. She likes to watch wrestling matches. She wants to get trash thrown at her while watching wrestling matches. She wants to be sitting front row. In many episodes, she's talked about going to see WrestleMania or being late for WrestleMania and trying to buy WrestleMania tickets.
All right, Phoebe, quit kidding around and change your vote so we can get out of here. I've got tickets to WrestleMania.
Really like this consistency, and it just shows how much passion the creator for this comic really has for Hey Arnold, and how much research and probably how many times she has seen the episode before making these comics to really make these comics feel like a continuation of the same characters. We also know from the show that if Arnold ever tries to be charming with Helga, like wink at her or hug her or anything like that, she immediately tries to snap herself out of it and pushes him away and insults him. And in this comic, she does not do that. She doesn't want to be mean to him. She is really maturing, and she's probably realizing that the first steps to her and Arnold being in any type of relationship is for her to chill out and to stop being so mean to him for no reason. I would love to see the transition between her being mean to Arnold and essentially his bully to them becoming friends. But so far, that is just a mystery. But these are just my thoughts on the comic, and I would love to hear yours down below. If you saw some things in the comic that you thought were cool, then mention them in the comments. There's so much to dissect in these comics, so if I miss some things, don't be afraid to add your thoughts.